In light of everything that's been going on in the state of Minnesota, specifically, especially the city there, Minneapolis, I wanted to show you this video that's now resurfacing on the internet of Governor Tim Walz just 2 years ago now, technically 2024, where he decided that the Minnesota state flag needed to be replaced with a new, modern, updated version, apparently. And I think it really explains a lot. I'm going to show you the clip first and foremost, and then explain to you why this actually shows just how sinister the Democrat politicians are in Minnesota. And truthfully, it demonstrates the fact that Minnesota's been conquered.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute. There, that's better.
There, that's better, he says, as he replaces the traditional Minnesota state flag with a new flag that has blue and white with a star on it. One star on the flag. And I'm going to tell you right now why that's so significant. As we know, Minnesota right now seems to be overrun with Somalians. Minneapolis is being called Little Somalia. And it seems like the Democrat politicians there are not only just content to protect the Somali illegals there, but they're also complicit, it seems. Many of them are, at least, in going along with all of the fraud that's been happening in that state as the Somalis continue to defraud our government. They create daycares like Quality Leering Center. They don't accept any children into them most of the time, and if they do, it's just a few of them that clearly the parents have enrolled there to make it not look as suspicious. And they're sending billions of dollars back to Somalia. The Democrat politicians in Minnesota are complicit in that, it seems, with the attorney general there, to Tim Walz, very likely going under for this. He'll be going down for this. He'll be the fall guy. And what this signifies here, this flag switch, is that the state's been conquered, like I said, because take a look at this. This is the Somali flag. It looks an awful lot like the Somali country flag, doesn't it? Now, what kind of a statement do you suppose Governor Tim Walz would have been making here by replacing the Minnesota state flag, which looks very similar to all of our other state flags, with this modern day one now that he's replaced it with? What kind of a statement do you think is being made here? That's the real question. And you know, they claim that this was just a coincidence, but as we all know, especially with all of the latest news going on there, Minnesota's been overrun by Somalians, and the politicians there now appease the Somalians. Mayor Jacob Frey, perhaps, is the most sickening example. We've all seen now the viral footage of him having his soul sucked out of his body as he was forced to eat Somalian slop and pretend that it tasted really delicious. But he also does all their tribal, weird third world dances when he's on the campaign to be reelected as mayor. He speaks their language now. He's completely capitulated as a complete traitor to this country, a white man capitulating to Somali immigrants when it comes to running for mayor of an American city. It's absolutely disgusting. And here's video footage of him waving around this new flag. It all starts to make sense when you see it, too. Now, I'm going to mute this just to avoid possible copyright, but look at this absolute ass clown of a mayor. The kind of guy in high school that you could just tell he was actually disappointed that he was born white, you know. He always felt like he wanted to fit in with the cool black kids. This is Mayor Jacob Frey. He's on stage with Somalians in the video, dancing like an absolute fucking idiot, holding the new flag, right? And look what's going on here. Do you see what they're all wearing? Oh, wow. It's the blue attire with the white star. This is Little Somalia going on right here, right in our own home country of America, the United States of America. There's more. Oh, there's bonus footage. Oh, look at this. This is a mayor. I didn't know this was in the video. More bonus footage, though. It's real clear, everybody. The reason why I'm making this video is to remind you that as the Trump administration, just like I announced in my live video yesterday, seems to be softening up on their immigration stance, it's important to remember that we cannot, or should not rather, be softening up on immigration in this country. We have been invaded in this nation, and we are at war, what should be a nonviolent war. It should be a war based off of simply deportations done through the legal process, of course. But we must take back this country Because when you allow this to occur like the Biden administration did, you get a result like this. You get Democrat politicians selling out their cities and states to foreign invaders and protecting them at all cost. Sanctuary cities that shouldn't exist, defrauding of our government, your money, your taxpayer money, going back to a third world country to support it. You should be outraged at this. You should be so outraged that the Trump administration wouldn't dare ease up on immigration. They wouldn't dare consider pulling out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. They wouldn't dare remove Greg Bovino from his position. They would double down and send in the National Guard. They'd invoke the Insurrection Act. They'd declare martial law. They'd go door to door and round up every illegal immigrant and deport them. And we're not getting that. We're not getting that. And these people, they know they're at war with us. We're the ones that decide we need to be virtuous, though. They're people. There's no such thing as an illegal person. Bullshit. They're illegal, and they do illegal things that hurt us and you as Americans. And if you want more evidence of this, all of the Democrat politicians in that state being corrupt, look no further than also Ilhan Omar there. Ilhan Omar is now being exposed by Benny Johnson, who decided that her mass accumulation of wealth over the last 5 years was very suspicious, so he looked into it more. Take a listen to what he has to say.
I just investigated Ilhan Omar's official financial disclosures, and what I found was so dark and criminal. I don't know how she gets out of this without going to jail. Have a look at this. Here's Ilhan Omar's financial disclosure from the Congressional Record, year 2023. I want to bring your attention to this company right down here, Est Crew LLC. This is a winery in Santa Rosa, California. It's not doing that well. The total value of the winery is listed at $15,000, and Ilhan Omar's barely making any money off of it at all. Hardly enough to pay a parking ticket. Okay, that's fine. Nothing really mysterious there. Businesses fail all the time. But go ahead and look at her filing for 2024, and you'll find that Est Crew Winery, the same company in the same location, is now worth $5 million. That's incredible, up from $15,000. And now Ilhan Omar's making enough to pay rent. So this must be one of the most successful companies ever. Let's go ahead and check in on this winery.
Well, and I looked into the winery, and it appears, according to the records that she filed, that her winery in the first year it was open managed to make $5 million in net profit. That is, actually, it's close to $6 million from the numbers I was seeing. That's one of the most successful startups I've ever seen. Many of you aren't probably entrepreneurs. I've always been pretty entrepreneurial. My parents have been pretty entrepreneurial, and I'll tell you this right now. When you open up a business, you're usually not profitable the first year. Oftentimes, you're not profitable for the first 3 years. In many cases, you have to take out loans, etc., and you have to really put in a lot of sweat equity into your business to get it up and running to really even break even, let alone make a profit. So Ilhan Omar, maybe she's right, because she's the one always saying that Somalians really help build their cities in Minneapolis and Minnesota, and they're smart people, despite the fact that we know their average IQ tends to hover around 67, upwards of 85 if you're a smart Somalian, and we all know why their IQs are so low as well. Don't need to go into it on a video on this channel, but I have mentioned it before on my live videos, which is why, by the way, you should subscribe right now to American Advocates for more content like this. Make sure you click the bell icon, turn on notifications, because I have started going live on this channel pretty much every night to cover various different topics. Also, be sure to leave a like on this video while you're at it. Helps this video perform well in the algorithm, and as you probably have guessed, the algorithm, it despises me. It despises the truth. It despises conservatives, etc. So thank you for your support. Now, when it comes to Ilhan Omar, she's money laundering. And then you have Tim Walz and his attorney general, who allegedly and very likely could be guilty of fraud as well, complicit in the fraud of Somalians. Ilhan Omar very likely leading the way in some cases. Omar Fateh, the guy who wanted to be mayor there but lost to the white bozo Jacob Frey somehow because he dances with flags and speaks Somalian and they like him. All of these people should be investigated and thrown in prison. And to be honest with you, none of them are going to be. None of them are going to be. And that's really the problem here. You know, you have Tim Walz here changing out the flag and changing it to something that looks eerily reminiscent to a Somali flag. And it's all by design. It's all to stay in the good graces of their Somalian voters. I actually thought this was so peculiar that I had this kind of a question for Grok. I'm going to re-ask it again so you can hear Grok's official answer to it, because Grok will always serve you the real deal. Hey Grok, so remind me again, in regards to Tim Walz changing out his state Minnesota flag like he did and replacing it with one that looks just like a Somali flag that they of course called a coincidence, but we all know isn't. If this was 230, 240 years ago, back in the early days of our nation, our founding fathers were alive, etc., how would that go over? What would happen to somebody like Tim Walz for doing such a heinous act?
Back in the early republic, around the Revolutionary era, that'd be viewed as straight-up treason. Disloyalty to the new nation could have sparked riots, calls for impeachment, or even execution if things escalated. Founding fathers prized national symbols. Replacing one with a foreign flag would have been insulting the whole fight for independence. Walz types might have been tarred, feathered, or run out on a rail at minimum.
There you have it. Grok always serves the real deal, and the fact of the matter is these corrupt politicians only get away with this now because over the last 250 years, sadly, just like every other empire in ancient history, we've gotten soft. And there's no consequences. And that leads me to my main point here, of course, which is there's a bottleneck in this Trump DOJ, and it's Pam Bondi. It's also Kash Patel, but it's mainly Pam Bondi. I'm going to be going live later on tonight on this channel, like I said, so be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so that you get notified as I go live or whenever I post. It's time to discuss Pam Bondi. I've got some new information on her that I think you'll find very interesting, and it's all going to lead to the main point of it all being that it's time for Pam Bondi to be fired, to quit, to resign, or at minimum be transferred out of that position and into something else, some other role. A role that I'll cover live later tonight turns out to be something she actually desired, because it turns out Pam Bondi never actually wanted to be the Attorney General. Like I said, I'll cover that on my live tonight. Be sure to tune in for that. Thanks so much for watching. And just know, we can save this nation. But we can't keep tolerating behavior that we're seeing out of the Democrats. They're traitors. They are traitors to this country. They're guilty of treason. They're guilty of a whole host of different things. And what the Trump administration is doing by not handing out true justice is galvanizing and enraging all of us young generations out here who are watching this two-tier justice system go to work, protecting these scum foreign invaders, these scum traitors to America in the form of Democrat politicians and some Republican ones. And then meanwhile, they bring the hammer down on the rest of us peons, us pathetic people, us pathetic Americans. We are never spared, but they are always spared. It's unacceptable. It has to end. And at some point in time, it will end. It's all on thin ice right now. I promise you that. These boomers, they're soft. They grew up in the free love era. They're dickless pussies who aren't willing to do what it takes to achieve true justice. They don't have the balls for it. And yeah, at a lot of points in time, that includes Trump himself. He's kind of a cuck. But those days are coming to an end.